ABBA. Fire of the Sacred Heart. April 7, 2019. Beloved, ever present in the heart of each one, AYOUN is the sacred fire of the heart, resonating in each one with ABBA. Silence. Beloved, as you may experience it in an increasingly extensible way, you see in your life, in your interior, in the different aspects of your incarnation, a certain number of changes linked to the emergence of love. Whatever you perceive it, whatever you say, the truth that is there cannot leave any doubt about the truth of who you are. In each of you henceforth, there exists the same possibility as well as the same availability, to live the fire of the Sacred Heart, realizing in what you are the presence of Christ, giving you to live, to look, to observe the miracle of love, in every look, in every gesture, in every thought, and this, independently of what you can believe, independently of what you can think, independently of yourself. In the Agape resonance, between each of you and beyond, there is the magnificence of the magic of love, expressed in countless ways, whether by what you could call synchronicity, by the fluidity of unity, but also within each relationship and each gaze, giving you to discover yourself a little more each day more clearly, each day more lucidly. In the process that is lived, as you know, there is just to embrace, there is just to respond present, ignoring every circumstance, ignoring every thought, as well as every reluctance. In your availability, the sense of embrace, the sense of transparency, the sense of truth is magnified. Filled with joy and sometimes still with certain questions related to what you are discovering, which had only been forgotten, and which could never be removed, and which has always been perfect, and which today is revealed inside and outside, to perform the miracle of one single thing, demonstrating the uniqueness and veracity of love beyond any concept, beyond any reliance as well as any history. Silence. Every day, more and more of you are living and rediscovering this magnificence, this action of love by itself, independent of any circumstance, independent of any causality or reflection. The evidence of love, the evidence of the Christic state, the evidence of Agape and the fire of the Sacred Heart, leads you inexorably, right here through this body, to the dwelling place of supreme peace, where only joy, silence and evidence combine in the perpetual grace of love. Beyond your form as well as beyond any world, the essential truth is revealed to you, beyond any history as well as any reluctance, leading you freely to place yourself in harmony with what you have always been, beyond any character, any history, as well as any causality. Silence. In joy as in great silence, in the inner gaze as in the outer gaze, the only constant evidence becomes the presence, your presence, as well as the presence of the intelligence of the light, bringing you many observations, many corrections, whether of your thoughts, your gazes or your points of view. The evidence of life unfolds before you and in you, from the moment you stop questioning, from the moment you accept, from the moment you accept that you are the light before world, before manifestation. It fills your heart with grace, it fills your heart with this sacred fire, this fire that will burn the ultimate conditioning, the ultimate misunderstandings and also the ultimate fears or reticences. I would like to remind you that in this natural process, there is nothing to do and nothing to explain. There is nothing to understand, just to embrace the evidence and the manifestation. Silence. In each of you is the same strength, capacity and love. It is up to you, today, to let what knocks at your door emerge in a natural way, in order to make you experience the ineffable beauty of love through this very body, and through what can remain of history to be finished, to be accomplished and to be completed in these particular times of revelation. as you live it. For many of you, there is more and more evidence of the action, within the density, of the most authentic light coming to reconform what must be and to consume by the law of grace what must be. This does not require any of your judgments or positions, because it is, and will remain, more and more natural, more and more spontaneous, and more independent of any will or intention on your part. Love is a gift. The realization of sacrifice is manifested today by this principle of acceptance, this principle of embracing, allowing us to recognize you in every circumstance, in every suffering, in every brother, in every consciousness, in every form, whether it is present in this world as in every world, as in every dimension. And this is happening right now from all over the world. The countless external and internal signs only add to the certainty of your experience, that it is indeed a process concerning the whole of consciousness. Silence. From the moment you surrender to some claim of your person, from the moment you no longer project anything in any future moment and settle into the eternal instant and the unspeakable presence, then the fire of the Sacred Heart carries you away into the truth, into the beatitude and into the evidence of every instant, whatever it may give you to overcome, to live or to transcend. Silence. The collective action of the fire of the Sacred Heart corresponds very exactly to what you can observe with the external gaze, with regard to the elements of the earth, in its different activities concerning the elements under the action of the four living beings, also called the four horsemen. This inner and outer alchemy unfolds in a synchronous manner and translates into a form of advancing and resolving the unveiling of the pure light, of the beatitude that preceded all creation. Silence. Every circumstance in your life, of whatever nature, can only lead you naturally to the evidence of the fire of the Sacred Heart, leading you to be in Agape constantly, whatever your person tells you, whatever the environment tells you, whatever this world tells you or any other world. Beyond any perception or vision, there remains only the great silence of beatitude, where many of you spontaneously immerse yourself, beyond any meditation or intention, allowing you to find yourself each moment with more and more firmness, with more and more certainty, whatever the circumstances of your life, interior and exterior. Agape's primacy, over any other relational or interactive consideration in any kingdom of this world or any world, is only the translation and formal proof of the process of the end of the dream of creation. It is present and available to every look you take, to every breath, to every contact and to every rest. Silence. The truth of love, the truth of the Absolute, is lived today in the open and is therefore known, irrevocably signing the end of the dream, the end of all illusions and the persistence of what you have always been, whatever the future of this body, this world, as of everyone else. Silence. Goodwill will become for each of you, if it is not already the case, the driving force behind all your actions, all your aids, all your movements and all your occupations. Thus the state of grace is established in a perceptible and sensitive way in each of the parcels of your body, as in each of the parcels of your life. Silence. In your presence, in this moment as in every moment, independent of the time of listening, independent of space and independent of time, you will easily notice the activation of the fire of the Sacred Heart, in the listening and in the resonance of ABBA in you. Each of you is ABBA, each of you is the whole, each of you is nothing, and yet is the whole. This can neither be understood nor analyzed, but simply observed, by what is being experienced at the moment, and what you are experiencing yourself in the circumstances of your life, in the circumstances of your conscience, as well as in any interaction between you and what you call the outside. The awareness of the presence of creation within the heart represents all the possibilities as well as the whole dream. This has already been dreamed, this has already been experienced, in other times, in other timelines. Thus ends the dream of having something to accomplish or acquire, freeing you definitively from any quest, freeing you from any explanation or questioning. This is the evidence of love, this is the evidence of Agape, this is the evidence of the fire of the Sacred Heart, which will emanate in an increasingly spontaneous and natural way from the heart of your heart. The radiance of the heart will then come in a natural and effortless way, covering with love everything you touch, everything you look at, everything you think. Your actions themselves, from the simplest to the most complex, in any sector, will demonstrate the veracity of my words. Grace is such, already for many of you, that you are already experiencing the event in itself, through the vision of white paradise, through the vision of the black hole in the heart, through simply sometimes peace, the feeling of tranquility, the feeling of fullness, the feeling that you are in your very right place, beyond the place of the character, beyond the place of your history, beyond all your suffering, like all your pains, like your joys. Thus, then, the evidence of love is revealed each day in an increasingly intense way, but also in an increasingly bright and magical way. Such is grace, such is the gift of love, such is the gift of life, such is the gift of your presence, from the moment when the present moment is your reference, then limiting any projection, then limiting any anticipation, then limiting any desire for anything other than what you really are, and which will never pass. The gift of grace is the same for each of you. There is no delay or lack, but simply in these particular times, to go through some more elements of your history in the present instant, allowing you to be enlightened, as well as to enlighten with your own light, which, in the character as in the story, have not yet been seen. In the experience of the fire of the Sacred Heart, healing at all levels is achieved. It is activated, it is permitted by the gift of grace itself, because from the moment you recognize in the other your own presence through the principle of embracing and agape, then at that moment, effectively the Christic state is activated. You're all called to become Christ, so you are collectively the return of Christ, the return of zero time, the return of grace and the end of the dream. Silence. It is every day, for each of you, whatever the current location, to notice countless changes, whether within your inner mode, or in all your interactions with the outside world, giving you to perceive in an intelligible way and beyond any mental activity, the reality of love in action, the reality of your presence, literally consuming, what can remain of character, what can remain of apprehension or projection. Silence. Each of you, whatever you think or say, has the same capacity, has the same gift and the same light. Everything is one, it has been explained, but today it is lived, whatever your posture, whatever your ultimate questions, whatever the circumstances of your lives, as well as the state of your body. There are no physical obstacles, there is no resistance linked to fears or apprehensions, which can be maintained for a long time before the power of the fire of the Sacred Heart. Silence. As you were told, and as you live it for many of you, love or the gift of grace is a state of communion and sharing the same truth, the same light, the same origin and the same uniqueness. It is done as well by smiling as by the eyes as by touch or thought, and it does not need speech, it does not need justification, but simply authenticity, transparency. It also establishes itself naturally in you, no matter what you say today, no matter what you hope for or despair about it, it doesn't change anything. Discovering the fire of the Sacred Heart, you'll then easily notice that you need nothing else to be what you are, neither body of eternity, nor world, nor dimension, but simply the beauty of love settled in an eternal way and found in its totality. Silence. Whatever the density, gravity or lightness of your life, there is no better place than yours today to live the fire of the Sacred Heart. From the moment you agree not to understand, from the moment you agree not to discriminate, from the moment you agree not to function in a mode of duality, then the unity in all its magnificence is revealed in the open, in your body, as all around you, as up to the origin of creation, in all worlds, in all dimensions, as in all times and in all spaces. Silence. My words of this day only rhythm and accompany the silences of my words, so that this silence lets the vibrations of my words beyond your intellect and beyond understanding, directly into the heart of the heart. Today, there is concretely only one heart. There is no longer any need to ask questions about the other's heart, because it is also yours, with the same intensity and veracity. There is no longer any distance, there is no longer any partitioning, there is only the evidence of love, the evidence of fire and the Sacred Heart. Silence. Whatever the manifestations experienced in the body as well as in the consciousness, but also at the level of what you call emotions, as well as mental, you go through this without effort, without stopping and without questioning yourself. The more you embrace and the more you accept, the less questioning or interrogation there may be about the very meaning of what you are experiencing, or about waiting for any result. The fire of the Sacred Heart is resultary, not only on the exit of the dream, but on the conditions of your body, on the conditions of your life, as well as on the conditions of your environment, but also on the conditions of the whole creation. Silence. The gift of grace will bring you a little more and more to this unspeakable truth every day. Whatever your postures, whatever your fears may still be, the unknown is revealed and can only be recognized in the grace of love. Silence. Beloved Abbas, time is at the call of the light, which is no longer simply an injunction, but an invitation to find yourself in AYOUN, regardless of any circumstance, regardless of any suffering, as well as any question. The evidence is becoming so clear that for many of you, there can be no question about who you are, no question about any future. What you will never become, for it has always been, immobile and immutable, and eternal, beyond your presence, beyond even what we call eternity. The result is a lighter weight, for anything that might seem to you to interfere with anything on your way, anything in your life, anything in your thoughts. Silence. The living experience of love, the living experience of the fire of the Sacred Heart, the Agape resonance drain more and more space, more and more time, more and more intensity, on the unfolding of your lives, whatever this one may be, whatever its still apparent hardness, nothing can resist the fire of the Sacred Heart consuming the last reticences, the last illusions, like the last shadows. Silence. Because from now on there will be no other possible answer than Agape, to any challenge, to any problem, to any relationship. Silence. In the majesty of the moment, each ABBA who listens and hears, embraces what is, comes to light or amplify this fire of the heart. In this moment as in each moment as in each moment as in each moment following, in the linear unfolding of time of this world, the magnificence of love will burst into the open. Do not be alarmed by the hustle and bustle, for as it had been explained, as it had been demonstrated, today you can easily see that the fire of the Sacred Heart does not depend on any of the circumstances of this world, does not depend on any event of this world, but simply on your presence and your embrace within the present Eternal One. Silence. Beloved Abbas, at this moment, without knowing you, wherever you are, I invite you to embrace all those who listen, at this moment and at any later moment, each brother and sister, to embrace life, without questioning and without reluctance, in order to offer yourself the freedom of love, the fire of joy, the fire of evidence. For that there is nothing else to undertake, nor to seek, but simply to be there without asking for anything and without waiting for anything, placing you spontaneously in zero time, where nothing passes, where nothing can pass. Silence. Life will never ask you anything else today, except to be entirely yourself, beyond all conditioning, form and history, resentment and problems. Remember that there is no effort to be made, remember that there is no quest to be undertaken, but rather a relaxation of any quest as well as any understanding, bringing you to the evidence of zero time, in the heart of your heart, as in the heart of each person, giving you to verify by yourself that nothing can no longer be separated, that nothing can be distant and that everything is already present, inside your heart. Silence. In this acceptance, without asking for anything and without expecting anything, spontaneously and naturally, the fire of the Sacred Heart of Agape transports us all together in the ineffable beauty of love, whatever the perception, whatever the visions, even if you do not perceive anything within the moment, the following moment will reveal it to you, thereto in a natural way, without effort and without request. Thus life in its entirety within this world becomes a gift of grace, whatever you may observe from everywhere, within society, within the activity of the earth as well as of heaven, this can only comfort you in the truth of love, it can only definitively establish the fire of the Sacred Heart, where everything is grace, where everything is perfect, beyond even the sense of perfection as beyond any desire. Silence. The permanence of the fire of the Sacred Heart is therefore brought into each of you, in order to manifest itself, not only in certain moments of agape or resonance, but constantly. Whatever you think about it, whatever you see, you will no longer be able to escape the love that you are. You will no longer be able to escape the benevolence and the gift of grace, leading you to demonstrate, through the living, that the whole of creation can only be your fault and can only be entirely contained in the heart of your heart, where there is no need for space or time, where everything has been dreamed of at a given moment, which cannot be quantified or measured. Silence. In our common silences, the fire of the Sacred Heart sets in. Whether it is perceived or whether it is also in silence, the effect will be the same, not on what you feel, but on the beauty you have to live, whatever the state of your world, whatever the state of your body. Silence. In embracing the great silence, in embracing the present instant, there is no effort to make, there is no request to make, there is nothing to expect, there is just to be what is there. This is offered and proposed to everyone, in this instant as in every instant, from the moment you claim nothing, from the moment you seek nothing, from the moment you stop nothing. Thus, the availability of agape love is total. Your experience depends only on your own availability. This availability is neither time nor a space, but I would say an act of faith, of your person as well as of your conscience, in the beauty of love, and that is enough for the gift of grace and the agape resonance, to activate in you the fire of the Sacred Heart. It is in this that it is up to you in your intimate moments to remain calm, not to ask for anything, not to wait for anything, and simply to be there, available for what is and what has always been. There are no more veils, no more barriers, no preconditions, to live it with the same intensity from everywhere on this earth. Here too, you are not asked to believe me, but to live it. As soon as you accept that you have nothing to do, that you have nothing to ask for, that you have nothing to understand, then the gift of grace is total. The Agape resonance will also become permanent and independent of any appointment, independent of any contact, and independent of any person. Then the fire of the Sacred Heart will find its full power in you, leading you to consume the ultimate illusions, the ultimate conditioning, the ultimate attachments, to form us to this world. Silence. Agape love is called to become, from this moment, the major component of your life and your relationships. Whatever you still think about it at this moment, whatever you dread or hope for, the result will always be the same, identical in everyone, identical in every world, identical in every circumstance, whatever your mood, whatever your readiness to live this. You cannot escape from who you are. You cannot turn away from who you are, whatever you think, perhaps even today. Silence. In the great silence of this moment, every concern, as well as every expectation, moves away from you, making you more and more available with each breath for the unspeakable truth of the fire of the Sacred Heart, for it takes all the space, from your body as well as the world's, with the same regularity and intensity. You don't need any memories, you don't need any posture, you don't need any preconditions, except to be available to yourself, above all. Silence. ABBA in each one, resonates in the heart of each one, as well as from heart to heart, in a round of love, which cannot be limited neither size nor in intensity. Each of you is taken in turn in the same round of beatitude, in the same round of agape. The whole of creation now resonates in this, without any doubt possible, without any further delay, where there is nothing to build, nothing to destroy, but simply to be there. Silence. Thus, the fire of the Sacred Heart unfolds and multiplies to the infinity of your presences, to the infinity of the worlds, to live the same truth, here on earth, here in your heart, in the heart of each one. Silence. So, hear and listen to the rhythm of your heart, listen to its dance, listen to its joy, listen to its presence. It is you, and it is everything, where you are nothing. Silence. Very sister and brother, every animal and every plant, as well as every world that enters this round, is consumed by the fire of grace and the fire of love. And that is now, and that is perfect, and that is beauty. Silence. Beloved Abbas, each of us joins all the worlds of brothers and sisters as kingdoms of this world in our hearts, spreading joy, spreading the good news that does not need words or stories, but does not need events, for this is the event, matching heaven and earth to perform the miracle of one thing here on this earth, right here in this very moment, which will be the same every minute, which will be the same every day, which will be the same from everywhere. Thus came the time of truth, the time of unity, the time of joy, not dependent on any circumstance, any world, or any form, allowing you to find yourself in each other with the same intensity and the same love, ignoring distance, ignoring any history, ignoring any reluctance. Silence. And in the silence of the moment that continues, the truth takes hold in an increasingly prominent and obvious way, where there is nothing to do but enjoy this, to be that. You do not have to understand, you do not have to ask, You just have to offer this gift of grace that will accompany the fire of the Sacred Heart, on every occasion, beyond any desire or intention. This is the natural state. This is the eternal game that has nothing to do with the dream, even if it was present in every dream as in every dimension. So, at this moment, you're invited to leave all space and time for the magnificence of Agape, and I greet each Christ, and I greet each heart, and I bless each presence as you do the same thing, with the same intensity and with the same clarity. Silence. In this truth of love, nothing can be lacking. In this density of love, nothing can remain heavy. In the light of love, nothing can remain in the shadows or in the background. In the resonance of each heart, whatever the multitude, there is only one heart. Each of you loves with the same intensity, because nothing in your character can adjust, diminish or increase the intensity of the truth of love. You can only agree, you can only accept, you can only embrace, you can only recognize the ineffable truth. Each of you is invited to this round. Whatever you think, there are no conditions, there are no restrictions, there is just the evidence of your presence as well as your absence, there is just the whole that stands in nothing. The Alpha becomes the Omega becomes the Alpha, to make the miracle of only one thing that has always been there. You have nothing to believe, you have nothing to hope for, you just have to be that unconditional acceptance of everything that passes, of everything that appears in any aspect and coloring whatsoever. You're that from all eternity. Beloved of the One, unique each of you in the same uniqueness, in the same dance, in the same resonance, in the same fire of the Sacred Heart. There is no longer any distance, there is no time that holds, there is no condition that holds, there is no moment more privileged than another, there is no more adequate personal state than another, there is the same equality, there is the same intensity in each of you, because love makes no difference, because love does not judge, because love is patient, because love is in everything. Silence. In the heart of the One, each ABBA surrenders to himself, thus freeing himself from any illusion that may persist in the game of habits, in the game of form. Silence. With each silence, the lighting intensifies. With each silence, the evidence magnifies itself. With each silence, the gift of grace flows through you at the same time as the fire of the Sacred Heart, and this is perfection, for love is perfection, beyond any definition or framework. Silence. And in the round of silence, everything is complete, because nothing has ever moved, you have never moved, you had simply forgotten it. You're that, everything else is just passing through. Happiness is offered to everyone, because as I said, it is your due, and it results from your presence at this moment, and it results from your gaze, and it is beatitude. Silence. Each ABBA is with you for eternity, beyond all time and space, where nothing can be distinguished, where nothing can be separated. Silence. In the great silence is amplified the sense of truth and the intensity of your life, the intensity of your presence, where the presence is unique whatever the forms present in the round of love. Silence. Where you are placed, the ultimate burdens, the ultimate weights, naturally settle. Where you are placed, the fire of the Sacred Heart can only grow, in the appearance of its intensity can only grow, in the appearance of its power, and this fire of the Sacred Heart is unique and always identical. It is simply your person, who surrenders to it with more or less speed, who creates this feeling sometimes of different intensity, but there will come a moment when you will be carrying the same flame, the same color, the same intensity of the one truth. Silence. When there is only love, there is everything. When there is only love, there is nothing to fill. When there is only love, there is nothing to acquire. When there is only love, there is only the beauty of your eyes, your gestures, your words and your silences. When there is only love, there can be nothing missing and nothing can be missing. Everything else is superfluous, everything else is only weight, everything else is only illusion, everything else is only passing through. There is your blessing that the fire of the Sacred Heart transports to the heart of each one without the slightest movement, without the slightest distance, but with more and more evidence, with more and more certainty, with more and more smiles. Silence. It's for you, it's for everyone, it doesn't make any difference, no matter what you think. Thus all tension is released, all suffering is released, all imbalances and disorders are healed, all the rest is superfluous, all the rest no longer works, only love is efficient, only love is authentic. You're invited to resonate with each other through what you deliver from your living, which is only the living of each other, in another time or space, but which is recognized as the ineffable truth. Silence. Then ABBA loves each of you and recognizes himself in each of you, with the same intensity and delight of finding himself in the same dance and in the same round, in the same unity of Agape's truth. The light cannot be suppressed, the light cannot be kept, the light can only be the round that has never moved. That is what you are living, that is what you hope for and that is what you may fear. It doesn't matter what you think, because the gift of grace pierces every thought and every resistance. No fear can be maintained, nothing can take it away from you. Silence. The fire of the Sacred Heart becomes permanent and permanent from the moment when silence is the answer, from the moment you accept this answer given to you, through silence, through fire, the fire that consumes what is only passing through, by illuminating it with intensity, freeing you from the ultimate illusions of believing you this person, or believing you to have to advance in any way whatsoever. In the fire of the Sacred Heart of the Agape resonance, beatitude is your due. Whatever your person says, whatever those who are close to you say, whatever your friends say, whatever anyone says, you're that and nothing can divert you from it, and nothing can divert you from it, and nothing can fool you, because it is clear, because it is evident, that becomes more and more resonant, that becomes more and more radiant, whatever you may think of it, whatever you may appreciate it, in your head or in your eyes. Only silence is the answer, because from now on everything is answer, because from now on everything is enlightened with the same ease. Whatever you do not want to see, whatever you do not want to hear, this is impossible, because love can only be heard, because love can only be seen, because it is its nature, and because it is your essence. Silence. Then ABBA ends his words, so that my blessing may be the same as yours and that it may never be interrupted. Each of you gives thanks to each other, each of you has embraced each other, to perform the miracle of one thing, in this moment as in every moment, for there is no more time, for there is no more space for anything other than the truth, for something other than what remains and will never pass. Then ABBA is silent, but will resonate with every breath in the heart of your heart, for ABBA is nothing more than you at another time, but in zero time, there is no more time, there is no more delay, there is no difference, there is that, and that is everything. May each one give himself peace, may each one give himself a smile, may each one give himself to each one, in order to be nourished by Agape, in the fire of the Sacred Heart. Silence. Then each of you, in the same truth, shares the gift of grace. In each of you and each one, the Alpha joins the Omega joins the Alpha, where there is no longer room for the slightest uncertainty or for the slightest question about love, because it is lived. He no longer needs words, but simply testimonies, but simply to declare it in every possible way, as in every look, as in every smile, as in every circumstance. ABBA tells you, there is no alternative, and I will even say that there can be nothing greater or more complete than the fire of the Sacred Heart. Then ABBA gives peace to everyone. May peace, joy, love and light be constant within your dream, within the illusion of this world. Everyone loves everyone with the same density and the same truth, beyond any idea as well as any fear, as well as any reluctance. No one can oppose it and no one will want to oppose it. In the heart and love of each one, everything is identical in the value of love. Whatever the differences in form, whatever the differences in history, it no longer makes any difference, because love never makes any difference, because the light never punishes, but only enlightens, because it is the balm that comes to put an end to the feeling of lack or to the reality of suffering. There is the care, there is the healing, which passes through nothing other than the fire of the Sacred Heart, putting an end to wandering, putting an end to the need to compensate for some gaps or to correct some disorders by something other than agape. It is to be lived, it is to be demonstrated in each of you by yourself in every possible way, and in every circumstance as well as in every day. Then ABBA will be silent so that you may be filled with this truth. May peace and joy, love and light, be your kingdom. Through Jean-Luc AYOUN. Les Transformations. Transcript. Agape Team. English translation. LMF.